Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 496. It is my pleasure to introduce Sam Dancer. If you guys don't know him, this guy's a stud. Big inspiration of mine. He put some great stuff online as well, and ended up coming down here to CrossFit Solace and ended up seeing him work out and wanted to pick his brain because he put some great stuff up on the internet. We started talking about how people don't have the best mid-back lat activation. Actually, they have none, right? They have none. So he was showing me some of his cool drills that he had. We started talking back and forth, and this is where we're at. So kind of run me through what we were talking about.
Yeah, so, it's unfortunate, but for a lot of people, they don't even have a mid-back.
So when we talk about mid-back,
the muscles are not even available.
Right. Let's define mid-back.
So for what I'm looking for in mid-back, and especially the parts that are not there, if you just pull any CrossFitter shirt off and you look from here to here, they'll have these enormous traps, and then when you go right here, they'll have no mid-back, and then you go right here, they have these enormous erectors. And it's okay to have these enormous erectors and enormous traps if we have proportion all the way through. So what we have with this particular drill is a great way to kind of distract the individual into kind of getting this entire system tied together in a very proportionate fashion. The band's going to be distracting you forward, and it's also going to be distracting you up. And so we're trying to do the exact reciprocating version of where the band is taking you. So if we went forward and up in either direction, we want to go back and down, or down and back. So the band is going to kind of stretch across the nipple line or just below it, which is going to match up perfectly with that mid-back. So a lot of the primary emphasis ends up being right here, and we get a lot of draw down with the lats, which is a big stabilizing mechanism that a lot of people are missing, and something as simple as just like a basic hinge. Like when you go down into your hinge, I see very little people with their lats turned on, right? Yeah, exactly. They're just turned off, and they're bearing a lot of load in their delts and their traps and stuff. So great drill, works well for pulling, pressing, hinging, squatting. So great drill. It transfers to a lot of lifts and just life in general. Right. So what you're going to do is you're going to hang your band up. Some rigs will be tall enough that you can do this from a standing position. This is a lower pull-up bar that I can reach, so I'm going to go down to a seated position, which is in some cases a really good position for people to be in. We kind of lengthen the hamstring a little bit, and then we're forced to kind of draw the ribs down a tad into a more neutral position. So I don't mind the seated version at all.
So what happens for people that have short hamstrings and have trouble getting into this position?
All you can do is kind of draw. We definitely don't want to like kind of roll back or anything, or try to bypass it in that fashion, but just pulling the heels up will give you a nice little release. And this is a great postural type position just to be resetting yourself to a degree. So a lot of our clients will have them just sit against the wall in this position for 4 to 5 minutes a day just to restore kind of think of it like maybe a tracking drill, if you will. So right here, they should be fine. And if not, you can just do a slight layback, which again isn't a big deal because all it's going to do is amplify the distraction. It's going to pull you forward and still pull you up. So laying back a tad, getting a little active in
this side, how it draws the shoulders forward. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then all I want to do here, and I can break this up into like 2 segments. I can work on just pulling, back and then reaching down. Right. Or I can just start reaching down to the floor and then drawing back. But I like to get to the point that, much like a hinge, like we're getting a slight knee flexion and hip flexion simultaneously. So with this, I want to see the individual get to the point that they have this kind of simultaneous ability to get down and back. Not that that is the position that the shoulder and the scap are supposed to stay in. We're just using this as a corrective drill to get them active in the lat and mid-back. So it's not like we need the scap to stay put down and back. Your scaps need to move and have upward rotation and downward rotation, posterior tilt, and all this crazy stuff. But we need to have very basic fundamental principle to set a foundation on. And I think this is a fundamental way of setting up.
We use that correlation when we talk about bracing too, is like everyone thinks that you have to only brace in neutral spine, but that's the ideal position to be in. You have to have control in bracing and all these other awkward positions. So I think that one works really, really well. Could you just run me through it real quick, and that way we can get like a quick recap?
Yeah, so do we able to stand up?
Yeah, you stand up and you run me through it, like, you know, like how you cue the person, or how you cue your athlete or anything like that.
Yeah, so if I had a newer individual, I'd probably, regardless, I'd start with a pretty light tension. So in this case, I think this is awesome. We get them standing and seated. So we get two different positions. We get variation of the application. Same application, different variation of between sitting and standing. So have him stand up, take his arms through. All right, there's not a ton of tension here. This won't impose a ton of shock either because it can be kind of abrasive on the armpit. And then I'll actually cue them kind of in the wrong direction. All right, taking their shoulders forward and up, and then maybe even kind of assisting them in kind of drawing the shoulder blades down and back. And the two things that I'm also additionally cueing with this is I'm telling them to reach down into their pockets as hard as they can. All right, so reach down in those pockets as hard as you can. That's gonna help set that lat. And then I want them to stretch that band across their chest as hard as possible. That's gonna help kind of tap into some of that mid-back. If they're having some difficulty tapping into mid-back, I might kind of assist them in pulling back some more. If you have someone like Doc right here who's kind of winging just a tad, you can assist them in kind of getting some kind of a little bit of tilt down, and you kind of drive that shoulder back, push that scap into his spine, and then again suggest that we're kind of pulling into here, pulling into here. All right, he's got great activation. Then having him go to the floor, go and relax, sit down on the floor. I love the seated position. Again, as long as they have fairly mobile hamstrings, I like it because you can lay them back just a tad, which kind of forces them to draw the rib cage down just a little bit. I really, really enjoy that. Great position here after drawing the shoulder blades down and back and having this active abdomen to start maybe even focusing on some breathing. So just having the individual draw some air in through their nose, finish out their mouth. We want about the first 2/3 of our breath to be pulled down into our abdomen with our diaphragm, kind of filling up the bottom portion of our lungs, and the last third maybe up into the top of the lungs, staying kind of relatively tight, not like super duper tight like you're gonna take a punch, but like you hear that cue thrown out a lot. And we just want to be, we don't want to be braced, we want to be stable. But if we're over braced, then we're not going to be very mobile and be able to kind of move around a little bit. Go ahead and relax. And you can draw this down into like multiple repetitions or holds. So if you want to do 3 sets of 8, you can do that. Or if you just want to do some holds and give them some intimate time under tension, that may maybe help them develop a better relationship.
Yeah,
that's fine too.
That, like this, what, 2 minutes that we've been here?
Yeah.
I'm already like, when's he gonna stop talking?
Yeah, and back to the breathing thing, the fact that you have this band across kind of the apex of your chest, it's a great cue for the breath because we want to initiate that breath with diaphragm into abdomen. So if you see them kind of going into the chest piece right here where that band is, then you know right away, and they're sequencing their breath in the wrong order, and they're probably opening up that rib cage if they're tapping up into their chest, which is going to shorten their lower back up, and then it's going to kind of limit their ability to tap into some of these areas that we're trying to place emphasis in for this type of corrective exercise.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me jump up here. Oh! Dude, I think that's awesome. I think that really helps a lot of people. Even if we're doing static holds or short breaths or short reps, I think both of them work really, really well. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Guys, Sam Dancer, please check him out. And guys, until tomorrow, we are optimizing function to optimize performance.